Chapter 6 is a little more lengthy than a lot of the chapters in the book. It just covers quite a bit of information in regard to the title policy and to the survey. We'll start out at the top of page 75 in your book. Title insurance is similar to any other insurance policy. Just kind of comparing insurance policies and what their purpose is. Title insurance covers your buyer and the current owner of the property against title defects. And title defects are kind of lined out in the first two paragraphs of chapter 6 on page 75. And typically title insurance is going to always be required by the lender that's doing the loan on the property. The chapter 6 kind of wants us to determine a couple of things. Number one, is there title insurance required? And number two, who pays for it? And title insurance in Texas is normally and customarily a seller's expense. So when you're writing an offer, when you're writing this paperwork, you're going to check box A, and then you're going to go in and mark the blank where the seller pays the cost of the title insurance. Title insurance premiums are set by the Texas Department of Insurance, or TDI. The premiums, they just had a slight increase in May of 2013, but title insurance rates are generally, the premiums are generally pretty stable. On page 79, bottom page 79, the book talks about, or kind of gives you an example of how a title search is conducted. A title search is conducted once the title company receives a copy of your contract. A copy of the contract is going to indicate a legal description like we talked about in chapter 2. It's going to give the legal description and the current owner's name, or how title is currently vested. From that point in time, the title examiner can look at the history of the chain of title on the property that you've sold. That way they can issue the title commitment and ultimately a title policy based upon their title examination. Page 81, 82, 83 goes into the different schedules in a lot, really a lot of detail. Page 85, 86, 87, 88 goes into the standard printed exceptions that are in our sales contract. There's 6 of them, and the standard printed exceptions are basically title insurance exclusions from coverage. So in the event there is a problem that arises at some point in time that has to do with any of those 6 pre-printed exceptions, that the title insurance will not pay. It's like a pre-existing condition on a health insurance policy. So if or life insurance, it's similar to a pre-existing condition when you're talking about buying insurance for yourself. Page 90 talks about some survey issues, about some easement issues that you can read through. Those are really good examples, and they're realistic. We deal with issues like that periodically. Page 92 goes into some of the liens that could be filed that could affect the title to the property or the seller's ability to sell the property to the new buyer. On page 95, in the next to the last paragraph, there is a why is a new title policy needed each sale? I get that question asked a lot in my classes. Well, you know, if I buy a house this year and I have a title insurance policy on it, and if I go to sell it in 2 years, why do I have to have another title insurance policy? Well, that goes in and answers those questions for you. Page 96 starts on the survey, talks about the survey, and there's a box or an excerpt out of the actual sales contract on page 96. Typically, in all real estate transactions, there's going to have to be a survey done, or at least a survey available. Typically, most buyers want to know exactly what they're buying. You know, on a in-town house, lot and block, residential subdivision, well, you're assuming that you're buying what's in the fence, what's inside the fence. Well, the survey not only indicates the boundary lines of the property, which the fence may or may not be on the boundary line exactly, but it also is going to indicate if there are any easements that would affect the property, such as utility easements. And an easement is simply what an easement holder retains to gain ingress and egress to the property. So if your property has an easement to AEP Electrical, then AEP Electrical has a legal right to come onto your property in their easement to maintain their utility lines. Or similarly, the City of Abilene, they have an easement to access your water meter. So those kind of things like that are always brought up on a survey. On page 98, there's what's called a T47 affidavit. And a lot of real estate transactions, people retain their old surveys, and we can use the old surveys as long as the seller signs and has notarized the T47 on page 98 and 99. And that is basically it's an affidavit for the title company to use that just lets everybody know that we've got an existing survey, we haven't built onto the house, we haven't bought another lot, we haven't built a swimming pool that would affect this property in regard to boundaries. On page 100, 101, 102, it talks about surveyors, the actual work of being a surveyor, who they're licensed by, what they do, you know, what kind of licenses they hold, and things like that. Y'all can kind of read through the rest of the chapter. There's quite a bit of information, a lot of like italics print, things like that. But y'all can read through the rest of this chapter, and again, hope this is helping. If you need any help, please call me and let me know, or email me or something and let me know. Thanks.